Okay, let's talk a little bit about pulling. Pulling exercises involve retracting the shoulder blades on the back. So if you think of those two shoulder blades that sit on your thoracic cage at the back, they're supposed to come towards the midline. And I often say to people, imagine a pencil was along your spine. You would want to try and pinch that pencil with your shoulder blades. For many people, this is surprisingly challenging because the way we use our shoulders and upper body in day-to-day life has us really overactive in those upper trap muscles, and we hold a lot of tension in that area. And you know, the middle of the back that pulls those shoulder blades together, muscles like the mid traps and the rhomboids, are relatively dormant. And so people will go and do a row exercise, which is a pulling exercise. You're pulling a weight towards the body. This would also be a pulling exercise by virtue of the shoulder blades squeezing together. Okay, now the movement is being accomplished, but not with the right muscle activation. So increasingly when I see people live in the gym and I'm coaching the row, what is happening, and you won't be able to see my back, so I'm gonna hopefully be able to show you, okay? What I'm seeing happening is a lot of this. Now, it can be hard to see or appreciate with an untrained eye, but what's happening is I am barely moving my back, my shoulder blades on my back, and what I'm doing is, you can appreciate maybe that my shoulder is kind of hunching and rolling forward, and I'm really employing a lot of those neck and shoulder muscles that we're talking about that are tense. We have to get away from this. So I really encourage you to be aware of whether or not this is happening. You can send me a video of your rowing. It's very common, okay? So we want to learn how to activate that mid back. And I would even say that for people in this category who have really tight neck muscles, they would practice activating their shoulder blades without raising their arms above the head. So even the trap 3 exercise may need to take a holiday for you until you get used to how to squeeze the shoulder blades together and get those muscles involved. So I'm going to show you what I'd like you to work on, okay, as an activation exercise even before you start your workout. You're going to set your bench at 30 degrees, lay face down on it like so. Okay, and what I want you to do, and you can sit on the bench if you like and put your forehead here, or you can stand as I am over the edge. Okay, it doesn't matter. The point is we're starting with one simple thing. First things first, we're going to try and push our shoulders down away from our ears. This is what I call a reverse shrug. And if you can't figure that one out, I'll say shrug first and then do the opposite. So shrug, and then push your shoulder blades down and away. And often when you just shrug first, it kind of gets your brain to figure out how to do the reverse shrug. So the first thing I want you to do is reverse shrug. Second thing I want you to do is pinch that pencil. Try and squeeze while keeping your shoulders down away from your ears. Squeeze and hold that shoulder blade contraction towards the middle. And I will say this, people who have trouble doing it with one arm will often figure it out with two sides of their body working together. So the best way to learn how to activate that mid back is by doing the bilateral version of the exercise. In other words, both sides of the body are being activated at once. Eventually the brain can transfer that to moving one side at a time. So I say, try this, reverse shrug, pinch, squeeze, 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 hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Reset every rep. Shoulders, reverse shrug them, squeeze the shoulder blades, and count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why am I working in a face down position? You don't have to do this particular thing, but by angling the body downwards, you're introducing the awareness that the body needs to move in this way while in a forward leaning position. If that's challenging, by all means, start this by sitting up Often people's body awareness is different depending on the spatial orientation of their body. So regressing it even further would be sitting upright in a chair and doing this. But eventually I want you to get into a position that simulates the rowing position, okay? Because obviously we eventually need to load those muscles in pulling against gravity, and we can only do that if we're angled downwards. The exception, of course, is people at a gym who can do a seated row machine. Okay, but assuming you're at home or you want to get better at dumbbell rows, which I think everyone should, you're going to try this. Okay, now once you get that, the two sides together, the next thing to try is one arm at a time. So lay your forearm on the bench, put your forehead on the forearm, leave one side still. Focus on one arm and do the exact same sequence. Reverse shrug, pinch. Hold for 5, relax. Reverse shrug, pinch, hold. If you've got that sequence nailed and you can do at least 12 repetitions like that, I want you to then go into the next thing. You're going to reverse shrug, pinch, and then perform a rowing motion, flexing the bicep. If you're going to do this with weight, you really need to start very, very light, because the body will revert to doing what it does by default when it's trying to achieve the task at hand. So if it's an overwhelming weight, the stronger muscles that are overactive by default will kick in before those other weaker muscles have a fighting chance. So give them a fighting chance. Take a very light weight to start. Okay? So here I am. The weight is here. Reverse shrug, pinch the shoulder blade, and then perform a lift and lower of the weight. Relax everything and repeat the sequence. Reverse shrug, pinch the shoulder blade, and it's a little bit artificial. Of course, that's not how we want to bring the row together eventually, but the idea is I want you to bring that mid-back into action so that you can then row properly and get the right muscles involved. Eventually, the goal is a smooth single arm row that employs the movement of the shoulder blade in unison with the bicep or the arm movement, right? So to get that fluidity, you're going to then transition to a single arm row. And the reason I'm set up like this is because it takes away a lot of the fussing about body position and all the energy required to set up correctly. So if you're someone who needs to really isolate the focus, setting up in a position like this, either seated or if your bench is long enough like this, right? But bottom line is all of your attention is focused on the working arm. And eventually you can then set up in the way that I demonstrate in the videos. So if you're someone who wants to work on your mid-back, those are my tips, okay? And always send me videos if you'd like me to review.